Hey everybody, High Priestess May here. Thank you for joining me today. I am trying to make sure that I can see your chat here. Thank you for joining me. I am currently live. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me. I am going to first we're going to talk about some stuff, and then I'm going to answer some general questions that you may have regarding different titles. Thank you. So, different titles, different works, different spiritual situations. Nothing specific to the person, but more general. This is going to be more of a learning live. Hopefully you guys will learn some things, and I can respond, and maybe my guides will want to respond as well, based on my experience and the experience that I have with other practitioners that are in my lineage, and their experience, and other practitioners that I've come across throughout my life. So thank you for joining me. Thank you. So I'm gonna just go ahead and get started. So the reason for me doing this live, hello, I'm gonna say a blanket hello. I am doing well, thank you very much. However, doing spiritual cleanses does take a lot of energy. So I may look a little bit maybe tired, or I may look a little bit pale. And that's because I've been doing a lot of spiritual work this week, because believe it or not, spiritual work takes energy. It takes a lot of energy. But I am doing everything in my power to replenish my energy, both through the help of the divine and through the help of the earth. So that's some of the things that I want to talk to you guys about. I encourage you to ask some questions if you would like to know some things, if you are interested in walking the path, spiritual path, whether for yourself or to help others. I encourage you to ask questions. I don't do this often, and I'm pretty sure that there is not that many practitioners that are willing to answer questions for people live the way that I'm answering them. So if you want to learn something, I will try my best to answer it to the best of my knowledge. And if I don't know something, I will tell you I have to get back to you, because I have to ask my guides, or if they are willing to answer right away, then I will do my best to answer. Okay? So a lot of people charge for this information. This is information that rightfully a lot of priests and priestesses can charge thousands for, and these are secrets that we're not allowed to share unless given permission by our guides to share. So there's just some things that I wanted to share with you, because my guides have given me the green flag to go ahead and do so. So like I said, feel free to ask questions. If I can answer it, I will answer it. So let me get started. First of all, I wanted to get started primarily because my guides asked me to do a bit of a cautionary tale. And this tale is based in true life. So no, it is not bad to work with different guides. It's based on, they will tell you if you're working with, there's no such thing as too many guides. There are some guides that maybe you don't want to mix together. But for the most part, light beings don't mind working with each other. And this is actually a secret that a lot of spiritual practitioners for hire do not share with people. Beings of light do not have a preference. They don't care what your religion is. They don't care what your heritage is. Some of them do. Some of them feel a little bit more connected to you based on your heritage. However, you know, if you're African, then maybe the African beings might feel more connected to you. Maybe if you're Celtic, then the Celtic beings will feel more connected to you. Or if you're Hindu, the Hindu beings will feel more connected to you. But in the truth of the matter is that, from what my guides have explained to me, there are many faces to the same or similar gods or similar beings of light. I wouldn't say gods, because in my tradition we believe that there is only one God and one goddess. But but there is there are many faces to the same being that I have encountered. Like Archangel Michael, for example, has multiple different beings that he is actually associated with based on the culture that you're in. So it really depends. But no, to answer that question, no, I'm gonna there's no such thing as serving too many guides. What I wouldn't recommend is, if you're serving beings of light, to start serving like demons, because that's not gonna work. That is not gonna work, because they do not work together. So I'm gonna answer questions at the end. I'm not sure if I can scroll through the chat here. Oh, I can. Awesome. So I'm gonna answer questions at the end as I'm able to. First, I want to tell you what my message is for today, because my guides do want me to speak about this. This is an issue that has come up, and it's about, there is a practice out there that has become popular. And it's become popular because some people who are careless with information, I like to say this, careless with information, like to share things that seem exciting. I don't share to be popular, I share to educate. And I believe, and my guides have led me to believe, that there are people that can handle certain information. There are people that can't handle certain information. And that's not an insult to anyone, but there are people that sometimes make mistakes because they hear something and they think it's cool, and they go, okay, let me try that and see if that works, because a lot of people don't. It takes time to build up strength to be a practitioner. And some of us want to maybe power up faster or make money faster, or whatever it is. And I will tell you one thing. It starts with this. Dark beings tend to give you, or tend to be, I guess, for some people, more exciting to work with. Why? Because they give you everything in advance, and they don't tell you what you have to pay in exchange in the beginning. So a lot of people, they hire people that are working in the dark, or they hire people who, or unknowingly start working with beings of darkness, because beings of darkness will say, okay, that's what you want, I'll get it for you. And you ask, okay, what do you want in exchange? And they're like, don't worry about it, you can pay me back later. And the thing with beings of darkness is that, and everything has light and dark, so I want to explain that as well. Everything has a light and a dark side. So everything is kind of like that yin yang. So even beings of light, it's not that they have darkness in them, but they have the capacity of darkness if they wanted to, but they choose not to. So everything that has good has a capacity for evil, and everything that has evil has a capacity for good. So beings of darkness tend to say, okay, here's what you want, and they don't tell you the price up front. My experience with that is that you tend to end up getting more than you bargained for. And sometimes you don't have it in you to be able to pay back that debt. Now, when you work with beings of light, they tell you ahead of time, look, we can help you get this, but this is going to be the price. Are you willing to pay that price, whether financially or energetically? Because not everything is about money. It's not just about money. Are you willing to sign this contract? Okay? And say, okay, I'm signing this contract and this is the result. This is what I'm going to have in exchange. This is what I'm going to have to pay, whether it's financial or energetic or both. And at the end of the day, you don't know. With beings of light, they always tell you what your price is up front. So you're making an informed decision. With beings of darkness, you will get what you want. I will say 120,000%. And you get it with beings of light as well. But here's the difference. What is the being of darkness going to ask you for? A being of light is never going to ask you for a life. They're never going to ask you for suffering. They're never going to ask you for anything that will hurt someone else. A being of darkness will. And most beings of darkness that I have encountered in my life as a person, in the last 30 years of my life, as a person who has worked with around my parents and my grandparents and my great-grandmother since I was a child doing this type of work, I will tell you that beings of light will give you what is convenient and what is beneficial for your life. Because at the end of the day, we are all children to them. They are thousands and thousands of years old. Michael has said to me, if I told you how old I am in your time, you will not comprehend that fact. So if I were, and all these, both beings of light and dark, they are old and they know. So beings of darkness, they have wisdom as well. And their wisdom is how to trick people into doing things. Because we, as humans, believe we know everything. And we don't realize that we don't know everything. And we are not more knowledgeable. And we do not know all their loopholes. So I caution for anyone, whether you're practicing on your own or practicing with someone that you purchase a spell or rite from, to know what it is you're working with. Why? I've come across a lot of people that have gone and they've gone to the graveyard and they've gotten graveyard dirt to do a work, or they've worked with a practitioner that forces spirits to do work for them. And then what happens is, I want you to know this, when a light worker, which is what I am called a light worker because I work in the light to save souls. When a light worker removes a spirit, which is what I do for the majority of my work, or I cleanse people, that spirit goes back to the purchaser, not the practitioner. So let me repeat that again. That spirit goes back to the purchaser, not the practitioner. Curses come from the person, not from the divine. Okay? So your energy has magic. Just like a plant has magic, a flower has magic, whatever it is, water has magic. The spirit that practitioner may be using, so you may be working with someone who works in the dark, and they say, oh no, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it for you, you don't have anything to worry about, which is usually what happens. That they work with a spirit that works in the dark, and that spirit is enslaved to them. Therefore, that spirit that is sent to do your work, even if you don't know about it, just because you don't know about it doesn't mean that doesn't protect you from the karma of it. And anyone who subscribes to the new age phase that karma isn't real, honey, I'm not a negative person. I do not believe in spreading negativity, but we have to be real when we have to be real. That is bullshit. Excuse my language. I have to ask my angels to close their ears. That's why I've had other practitioners come to me asking me to help them clear what they did, because they have messed up and they have not realized that they've made mistakes, because they have read online or they saw on YouTube that if you got graveyard dirt, or if you got something from a spirit, that they could get more power and develop faster and all these things. And I will tell you, spirits are meant to be in their resting place for a reason. And when you start messing with the order of the universe, you are playing with fire that you do not understand. And by all means, if you understand what you're doing, more power to you. I believe that it is everyone's individual right and choice to whether they want to darken their soul or not. I don't. I have family. I have a family. I have people I care about, and I know for a fact that anything that I do, my karma will be on my family. It will not be on me. It will not be on me. It will be on my family. It will be on the people I love. If I do something bad, and the spirits of light will turn their back on you if you choose to use your light worker powers to do evil. They will. Whoever you love the most will be the one to pay for it. May that be your child, may that be your spouse, may that be anybody. They will be the one to pay for it. And I don't want to make this a negative toned video, but I have to be honest with you, because if I'm not honest with you, I am doing you a disservice as a priestess. I'm doing you a disservice as a fellow human. I'm doing you a disservice as a fellow light worker. And there has been a battle happening for thousands of years. And at the end of the day, light workers, we all have a duty to save a certain number of souls, because as light workers, we are meant to be the example of the light's army, the example of what it is supposed to be like to spread the light to others. So if you would like to spread the light to others, go ahead. There's nothing wrong with spreading light to others. But if your life consists of spreading negativity to others, you may want to reassess that, because at the end of the day, we all make the tombs that we have to lay in. So that's that. So that is the lesson for today. I have seen people whom have no sickness in their body that the science can find, yet the moment that a spiritual work is done to cleanse them, they are healed. Actually one of the reasons, besides my experience with Michael, why I chose to get involved in this is because I actually saw a demonic spirit being removed from someone. And it wasn't the exorcism in the way that the Catholic Church does an exorcism. It was a removal in the way that a proper light worker should be doing a removal of a spirit if they are trained properly. How do you help a sick person that doesn't believe in any spirituality? Someone asked how you help a sick person that doesn't believe in spirituality. Well, I had actually a gentleman. This is interesting, because earlier in the year, around January, I had a gentleman who didn't believe in this. And his wife came to me, And his wife came to me and was like, I need your help. I don't know what's going on. We did a reading. So happens that he actually had a spirit sent after him by an ex-lover. And he didn't believe in this. However, we finally convinced him to come to me. And I had not spoken. I had said to his wife, I do not want you to tell me anything about him. So he came, and this is on the part of how do you get someone to heal if they don't believe in spirituality. If you believe in God in any way, you can be healed. You don't have to believe in spirituality. The Bible is a spell book. It's just God's spell book. The church is a coven. The priest is a high priestess. It's the same setup, guys. It's just a different name. And if we all just shared the proper knowledge of healing instead of spreading fear, then we can get further ahead. But I digress. He didn't believe in this, and his wife brought him to me finally after much convincing, and he still didn't believe in it. He still didn't believe in all this, and he believed me when I started telling him about his best friend, everything about his best friend that his wife did not know about, because his wife and him had been separated for a while, and he had just, well, not his best friend, a friend, a very good friend of his, a roommate of his. And his wife did not know this person, so there was no way for me to know any of information. But he was testing me, so Michael made sure that I passed the test. And at the end of the day, it depends what it is. I feel that if you believe in God in any way, you can be healed, because at the end of the day, I'm not saying that spiritual work will heal everything. There are some things that you have to heal through the magic of herbs, and being able to utilize the earth as well. But Archangel Raphael likes to always tell me that everything that is physical has a root in spirit. So everything that is physical, everything that is a physical ailment has a root in the spiritual world somewhere. Whether it's something that you put on yourself through stress or through amplifying negative energy, or something that has been put on you through stress and throwing of negative energy, or imbalances in your spiritual nature. So there really is no answer for how can you get someone else to heal without them believing. What I would do is I would pray. I would try to do everything in your power to get them healed, or get them to get better. Would you do a video? Someone asked me if I would do a video on angels. I was told they were not friendly, so to speak. Angels are very friendly. It's just that a lot of people don't like angels because some of the angels are very straightforward. And a lot of us like to have things sugar-coated for us. So a lot of the angels are perceived as unfriendly because they are blunt. I wouldn't want someone lying to me, so I appreciate that the angels are blunt. But they always say things that you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So angels are very friendly. It depends on the angel you're working with. Yes, some people. So someone asked me if someone else is able to know when you are doing work on them. Yes, they are. For example, if anyone's ever doing work on me, I know who it is and I know what is being done. So it depends on the level of the practitioner. usually you can tell if it's a good spirit or a bad spirit based on how they make you feel. Do you feel intimidated maybe because of their grandiose ness? Like for me, I didn't feel scared of Saint Michael. I just felt like I was not worthy of being in his presence. So when, not that I wasn't worthy to be in his presence, but his presence is just so overwhelming that it makes you want to cry. But it never makes you feel negative. You know, your intuition, your guides will warn you. You have guardian angels. You have guardian angels that are constantly with you. So you have to be asking your guardian angels to help protect you from certain things. You have to give permission to them as well. So if you're asking your guardian angels for extra protection, they usually are really good about telling you who is intending bad towards you. We're all connected. We're all kind of like siblings in the spiritual world. So, your guardian angel is not necessarily going to tell you, to do something negative to someone else, but they will tell you, hey, just watch out for this person's energy. Watch out for this and this. And it will also tell you if you are being, they will set off alarms in you if you are in the presence of a bad spirit. So you will know. If someone knows, like I said, someone would know if you are doing work on them, if they are, for example, an initiated person tends to know when someone else is doing something on them. If they don't know anything, then their intuition may tell them. But usually they are told in a reading or something like that. But from my experience, I know when someone's doing things on me. But that is different because I'm at a different level of practice. So I'm at a different level of practice than most people because I've been practicing doing rituals for others for a few years. Okay. So because I've been practicing this for a few years, I can sense it. Okay. But if you sense it, you may just get maybe an intuitive feeling or some weird feeling. But most people I've found that don't have this intuitiveness or ignore their intuition tend to not really know. They just kind of go off of like, I don't really want to talk to this person. And this may be a feeling that their guardian angels are giving them. So there are ways to get around that, but you have to ask your guides, guys, when you're doing work. I ask my guides when I'm doing any work what I should do and what I shouldn't do. And they will tell you. If you know what you're doing, they will tell you what you should and shouldn't do. If you know how to listen to your intuition. Gay people do have guardian angels. Gay people do go to heaven. Otherwise, I'd be going to hell. But it has nothing to do with... Your angels don't care who you sleep with. Your angels don't care about that stuff. You are made by God. And we're all born to be a certain way. And if you are... I don't prescribe to this belief that if you are trans or if you are gay that you can't be spiritual or you can't believe in God or you can't have God in your life. That is bullshit. Excuse my language. And anyone who doesn't agree with that, you are welcome to continue to follow me. I'm not going to kick you out. But Michael has told me they don't care about that because why? I have done past life regressions, which means that I have walked through hypnosis through my previous lives. And in other lives, I have been in a male body. My soul is unisex. Many of the angels come in both female and male form. Gabriel comes in both male and female form. Michael the angel mostly comes in a male form because he just prefers that form. However, in France, he is Michel. He is a girl. In some French places, the angels come in different forms. They come in both male and female. Usually, the guides, such as the saints or that were sainted or loas, they come in in one sex because they actually incarnated. When your soul doesn't incarnate, you can switch back and forth between male and female. When your soul carnates, then you get stuck in one gender while you are on the earth. While you're no longer on the earth, then you are welcome to be whatever gender you want. It also depends on what you are working with. So, honestly, the idea that, for example, the ancient Egyptian idea that your heart is weighed against a feather is actually the closest to the truth about how you get to go to heaven or hell. There is no such thing as hell with the fire and all of that stuff. Hell is more of a form of limbo. A lot of people don't believe in hell. My guides have explained to me that hell is really more it's almost like a limbo. So it's kind of like your soul gets reincarnated and reincarnated and reincarnated, and you don't get to leave the third dimension for a long time until you've learned that lesson. Like, if you were a terrible person in this lifetime, you're just gonna get to reincarnate again and get to live it all over again. So it's like an endless cycle of reincarnation if you never learn the lesson to be good, to be a good person. So if you're going to, someone asked a question about replacing the water in the altar. When I replace my water in the altar, I usually clean the vessels really well. You want to sage your altar, clean the vessels, because what happens is as the water goes down, you get those rims of minerals around, and you want your altar to be clean for your guides, respectful. I know for a fact my great-great-grandmother, she does not like dirtiness. She's like, I'm not coming over if your house is dirty. So she makes me clean whenever she wants to come over as a spirit. Or she'll meet me in the backyard where it's not a mess if there's a mess in my house. But nature is the greatest place besides your altar to connect to your guides. Because if you are around running water, they tend to connect a lot stronger to you. If you are around just trees, it depends as well. Unfortunately, Bob, this is not in any way to make anyone who has committed suicide feel bad or feel how do I say this, or judged. However, from what I understand, if you do commit suicide, you do get stuck in limbo because there is a certain amount of time that you get stuck on earth. Because my best friend did get stuck on earth, and she came to me and she told me that she was stuck on earth until she completed the amount of time until her next reincarnation. So that is not something that a lot of people are going to tell you, because a lot of people are afraid to say it, or I honestly didn't want to say it because I don't want anyone to feel judged. But the truth of the matter is that from my experience, if you do commit suicide, there is, you do still have to stay on earth. The good thing about it is, though, that if, I'm not promoting that this is done. Certain spirits do get to be guides if they get stuck on earth, but not always. But I do not know everything. I have to say that I do not know everything. There are some things that my guides allow me to share. There are some things that they don't allow me to share. I believe in the fact that one of the faces of God is Jesus, and I believe that Jesus is the God. Many people may see God differently. I believe that different people are born to see God in different ways. What do you mean? Oh yes, so it's kind of like a ceremony. You want to clean your altar every week and refresh everything as you go. I'm not so sure because I don't know a lot about Palo Mayombe. I just don't practice the tradition. So I don't know a lot about it. If you would like, we could ask during a reading what your guides have to say about that. But so how was Jesus born? You're going to have to ask Jesus. That's his business. So the Orishas are actually not gods. The Orishas, from what I understand, are different representations of God. So for example, Oshun is a piece of God. It's a piece of, let's say God comes as a goddess in goddess form. So in goddess form, he would project himself as Oshun or Oja or so all of them, from what I've been explained, are by my guides, not from anybody in any tradition or religion, is that they are kind of like, how do I say this? Personalities of God. So energies of God. So Orisha actually are usually, Jesus may be man-made to you. I'm not here to force anyone to believe in Jesus. I personally believe in him because I have always had that belief and that faith, and I often communicate with his spirit, energy. Usually more around the beginning of the year. Throughout the rest of the year, I kind of communicate more with angels and things like that. God is multiple. God is infinite. God is both male and female. God is in everything. So I have a faith in Jesus. I don't ask anybody else to have faith in Jesus. But I have noticed that there's different guides for different people. Usually, Sylvia, when someone tells you are a gift of, you are a daughter of Misterios, it can mean one of two things. It either means that you were meant to be to serve Misterios, which means that in order for your family to continue to be protected by them, that you have to actually acknowledge them, or you are meant to be a priestess, a light worker. And in that case, then that means that you would have to get your head prepared by someone who mounts the misterios. And so in that case, then you would have to see specifically what they are asking you to do. Are they actually... Sorry, I lost my train of thought because I tried to read a question as I was speaking. You have to actually see in a reading whether they actually want you to become a priestess or if they just want you to serve them. Why do you know what religion is really for us? Someone asked, how do you know if a religion is really for you? It's you will know. You will know. You will feel it in your soul if it's for you or not. If something is not for you, whether it's a religion or spiritual practice, whether it's whatever it is, you will feel it in your soul what you're meant to do. I don't subscribe to the fact that only certain beings exist. I believe that all beings of light exist. So just like I believe Jesus exists, I believe Shiva exists. I believe, Isis exists. It depends on who you feel connected to and who you feel you want to amplify your connection with. I'm trying to answer some questions because I did answer multiple for the same person. When you have the reason for glasses of water on your altar is so that your spirits can actually connect through a medium that is elemental. Usually when I get rid of offerings, I do anything that is organic, I put it back on the earth because everything belongs to the earth. And usually around a tree or something like that, anything that is organic. Anything that is not organic, I leave at a crossroads, because the crossroads are in my tradition governed by Papa Legba or Elegua, which are, or some people know him as Saint Anthony, which is the being that uncrosses you or opens your roads. So usually anything like that I would leave at the crossroads. Certain beings, someone asked why a spirit might want to contact them that they never met. That is, it's possible that person is your spirit guide, and they're trying to let you know that they are your spirit guide. So that is usually what they do. How do you avoid negative spirits? It's different. It depends on what situation you're in. So it depends on the situation you're in. You can, usually try not to call negative spirits to you. It's the first way to avoid them. Another way to avoid them is if you feel like you're around someone's energy that is very negative, try to stay away from that person. Or if you have to be around them constantly, like some people work with these people, when you get home, try to cleanse your energy before you even walk in the house. So try to sage yourself, and maybe take a bath a few times a week, an energy cleansing bath. Or if it's something more serious, go to a practitioner that you trust and get work done. When you do tarot cards, so tarot cards, here's the thing about tarot cards. Tarot cards are pictures on a card. Okay? That's all they are. They have no power without your power. So tarot cards are actually empowered by the practitioner who is reading them. The more you gain your power through either through the divine or through yourself powering up through the earth, the more accurate your tarot readings will be. My tarot cards are only a way for my guides to communicate to me in symbols that I don't understand otherwise, or as a way for me to be able to physically show you what my guides are showing me through my clairvoyance, because I use tarot as a way to show whoever I'm reading what I'm seeing in my mind, what they are showing me in my mind. And the tarot tends to sometimes match the same image or similar image to what they are showing me. So at the end of the day, the tarot is powered by you. It's powered by the person that's reading it. And that's what my guides have explained to me. Whether you believe that or not, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to answer the question. So the tarot, it's at the end of the day just pictures on a piece of paper. And people who fear these, I'm sorry, but you're being ridiculous, because they're just cards with pictures on them. What empowers them is the being you're working with and you. So you and your beings are the ones that actually empower them. So there's no reason to be afraid of tarot. Now, what you are doing when you're opening and closing a session is what's important. Because if you open a session and you are just opening it up for anything to communicate through, the tarot can be used by beings that don't have good intentions, which is when I start a reading, I always clear my space and I make sure that only the guides that I'm asking for come through. Because when I'm connecting to somebody else's guides, I don't know what their guides are. I have to make sure that that guide cannot connect itself to me, or, you know, okay, connect himself to me, or do something that I don't want done. It depends. So Sylvia Brown told you your name. Spirit guide's name is Vincent. I don't know how to answer that question, because that's a personal question, and unless I read you, I don't suggest that you pray to anyone. Unless I read you and I tell you, I can inform you on guides that are good to pray for certain things, but I cannot tell you personally you should pray to A, B, or C, because I haven't read you and I haven't opened a session with your guides to know who your guides are for each of you, each person. Yes, most of the time it's good to receive a tarot deck as a gift. It's kind of like an old wives' tale, but I have found that they tend to work a little bit better when they're given to you. Like I collect tarot cards, and I tend to find that I have a stronger connection to the ones that were gifted to me. So it really, because I think it's because of that feeling of gratitude that they tend to be. And my grandmother did say that they are the better medium to communicate, because tea leaves tend to give you bad luck. So there are people who are meant to do tea leaf readings and they don't get bad luck. But then there are people, you have to find which medium is actually meant for you, because different people are meant to do different types of readings. Some people who are meant to read cowrie shells. Some people are meant to read the candle flame. Some people are meant to read the crystal ball. Some people are meant to read the tarot, or water. Some people are able to read water. So it really depends what you are meant to read. But starting with tarot is great. If something is already on a place, you have to cleanse it first before you can protect it. Sam, can you remove Bob Johnson? So I just...
You can click on his name.
Okay, so I don't play with children, so I don't play with people who are being immature. It doesn't bother me, but they seem to think it's funny. So, what was my train of thought? Sorry about that, guys. So, yeah, so let's see what other questions are there. So, yeah, if you want to start with the tarot, do it. Oh, right, we were talking about the condo. I can't... Usually when you have when you already feel that there's something in the place, you need to make sure you cleanse it first and then protect it. Once you protect it, then you can go ahead and move on with your life and not have to worry about it, and just maintain the protection. All right. When I sometimes do my daily poll of full reading, it's overwhelming with so many messages. Should I be more specific with who I'm trying to get messages from or what I want information for? What I find when you do like daily polls or general readings, what I find is that they can be very draining. So you have to make sure, A, that you're drinking a lot of water, B, that you are specifying the beings you want to connect with, and also making sure that you tell spirit your rules. So you have to set rules for spirit. It's like when someone is using a telephone. So you're the telephone between them and the living world. Or I should say they're all kind of living, but in some way, but you are the telephone between the veil, between both sides of the veil. So you are the telephone, is what I like to say. I am the telephone between the veil and this world. So you have to set the rules for spirits. Another thing with that is that spirits, their world is kind of flipped. So their night is our day and our day is our day is their night. So when usually spirits will come to you about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, because that is their 4, 5, 6 p.m. They don't go based off of times. They go based off of rotations of the planets. So Lamb, the more conscious you become, whatever you pray to is really your choice. Because I feel that you don't know what you're praying to, so you're welcome to learn more about it. I feel that anyone who wants to learn can learn as long as they put effort in. Learn about, at the end of the day, something created this world, okay? Whether you believe in God or not, something created this world, something created the plants, something created everything you see around you. So I think it's a disservice to ourselves to not try to understand, or at least acknowledge, that there is something greater than us out there, and there is a God within us as well. There is a piece of that God within us as well that connects us to everything around us. So if you are not sure who you're praying to, you can pray to, I guess you can pray to the universe. There are people who just say, I pray to the universe because the universe rules my life. The universe rules what's going to end up happening to me. You can say, I pray to my guides, or I pray. I tend to say, I pray to my guides, because your guides are set before you're even born. You have what's called an Akashic record, and it's like a giant book. It's probably more high tech than a book. That has basically all your past lives, what your present life is supposed to be, based on what I have been explained, is that before we are born, we actually choose our destiny. It's a book of records, and we choose our destiny. We choose the path we're gonna walk. When we are born, when we are incarnated, the guides help us walk that path. And you're saying, why am I going to follow this path, and why am I doing this? From what I understand, the point of it all is to achieve ascension. So it's to achieve some sort of enlightenment that will eventually, you will be able to join as one of those guides. And I live the eternal paradise, or whatever it is that we are being promised, or what that you believe you are being promised. So that is basically what has been explained to me is we live in different dimensions, and the dimensions, we're currently in the third dimension. When we dream or when we're doing spiritual work, you're working in the fourth dimension. So everything that is kind of noisy kind of rules in the third and fourth dimension. So in the fourth dimension, you go out and you astral travel. So you walk in your dreams, you meet other people. When you are also in the fourth dimension, also hang out all types of beings, so good and bad hang out in the fourth dimension. Usually spirits that are still stuck on the earth or have messages, they will go through the fourth dimension to get the message to you, and then they will go back to their proper dimension, whether that's the fifth or the sixth or the seventh. From what I understand, the archangels live in the seventh dimension, which is why if you don't raise your vibrations, if you don't become a more positive person, you have a harder time hearing your angels and your archangels, because you have to make a conscious effort to get through all that noise. Okay, it's almost like levels of noise that you have to get through. It's like being in a trying to find the analogy here. It's like when you're watching, I don't know if a lot of people remember the television with the static, so that is when I started awakening, that is what I first started to hear. And it's kind of like static, and then energy just became really overwhelming for me. And I just couldn't deal with being around certain energies. And then I started realizing when I was projecting that energy, because I started to see energy in colors. The angels, they communicate to me in colors, sounds, and sometimes pictures. They really choose based on the different person how they're going to communicate. You hear high-pitched sounds when you start to awaken. It's almost similar to, if anyone has ever seen the movie The Matrix, that is probably the closest explanation to, no, I don't have tinnitus. I checked for that, and the only explanation was spiritual. If you do have tinnitus, then that might be the explanation. Now, what I did find is that you kind of become agitated by those kinds of things, by things that are what I tend to call mundane things that are not really as important as we make them. Maybe gossip and those things that are in the lower vibrations. So that's really, so the Matrix, not saying that the Matrix is real. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's the closest, the first movie is when you get unplugged. It's kind of like the closest analogy to when you get awakened by the divine, when it's your time to see things a little bit more clearly and see the bigger picture, that it's not just all about you. There is a bigger picture that involves you and you and the people you're meant to help, the people that you are meant to help ascend. And sometimes you hear thoughts, sometimes you can hear thoughts. So sometimes you can hear thoughts, sometimes you can hear, it depends. It depends on who. Now, for example, someone asked me, what are the spiritual causes of like schizophrenia and multiple personality disorder? In my tradition, there is beliefs as to what those things are caused by. Science tells us it's a chemical imbalance. Spirit tells us that it is another form of a gift. No one, I have come across a few people that have these disorders, and they are not violent people. They are very sweet people. They are people who are just trying to understand the world just like all of us are. And in my experience, are not dangerous people. Some of them are very, very gifted. So, but I seem to find that whenever it's important that we try to stay open-minded, as I seem to find that whenever someone tries to share their opinion of the world in a loving way, there's always a demon that will try to shut them down. So I try to make sure that I allow people to speak their mind, but have discretion what you believe and what you don't believe, because that's the discretion is up to you, because your gut tells you. If your gut is open to the divine, if your intuition is open and it's not messed up from pain, and if you haven't held on to pain and to victimhood and to anger, then, because I used to have all those things when I was in my early teens, I used to have all those things. Yeah, that happens. Sometimes people, sometimes people will throw ashes around your house, or things where you're gonna sit, things in your food. And if you feel that is happening, it's important to get a consultation that's why I always do consultations, because I always ask your guides. I don't assume that is what's happening with you. I have to open a session before I say, yes, that's what's happening with you, or no, that's not what's happening with you. Excuse me. Because that would be like me prescribing you something. Like if I were a doctor, it would be like me prescribing you something for one illness, but you actually have a different illness. Yeah, so it's important. It's important not to be scared. My thing is be cautious. Don't be scared, because fear feeds everything you don't want to attract. Fear feeds negativity. Fear feeds the witchcraft anyone else may be doing on you if it's fed by your fear. Fear feeds any dark entities that want to make you afraid, and to put you in a position where you feel like you have no choices. So it's important to release that fear, to trust. Biggest thing is trusting in your guides, trusting that there is a reason for everything, and that if it doesn't feel like a right reason, if it doesn't feel like something is meant to be there, like if you're going through something and it doesn't feel like there's a lesson involved in this from your guides, then it may be something that you want to get cleared away. It may be something that you might want to get spiritual work done for. So it's a lot of it is we don't notice. We're always really, really willing to notice when something is not going the way we want it to, but we're very rarely say, I'm thankful for everything that's going right. Okay? Because our guides, they work really hard, and we only ever say anything to them, for the majority, not saying everyone, we only say something to them when we want something. We rarely say, hey, how are you today? Like, just get that feeling for how they're doing, how things are going. Your ancestors, they have lives on the other side. You guys, you may not realize it. They got lives on the other side. I had one time, I accidentally called my ancestors without realizing it, and I called all of them. And they were having a party in my living room, and I could hear glasses and music, and like glasses clinging, and music playing, and I feel that my guides are my connection to God. Like to me, God is the CEO of the company, and my guides are like his managers and supervisors. So like if I'm gonna go to, instead of going to the CEO with something minimal, I go through my guys and I feel like they will take care of it for me. So I don't feel like I don't feel like, it's up to you. You can go directly to God. I have times where I'm like, I feel, but I always do everything in the name of God. So if I ask Archangel Michael for something, I ask him in the name of Jesus or in the name of God to help me. Because in my tradition, we believe that Jesus is the Son of God, and that or a representation of God, and then that there is a God above Jesus. So that depends on your belief. So for me, I think for me, I don't think it's that important. Like if I just need $300 or something, I don't think I need to bother the CEO of the company for the $300 when I could go, hey, Archangel Michael, can you help me out with these $300? And he goes, here you go. Like, go ahead. I'm just thinking in the chain of command, I guess you could say. So also, there are beings that are closer to the earth, and you can definitely pray to any being, but I always pray in the name of God. Okay, I pray the name of God, or I pray in the name of Jesus, because at the end of the day, they all work for him or her. However God represents him or herself to you, they all work. All the beings of light work under God. And that's how I was brought up. That's how I have, even though I tried to not believe in it that way, I was reasserted. I was realigned to that belief, because I had a few years where I did not want to believe in God. And if you watch my video on my experiences with Archangel Michael, you will see that. But I feel that it is everyone's right to find God on their own. It's not my job to force someone else to believe in God. It's not my right to tell you who or what you believe in. I can only share with you what I have been told. I pray. I don't worship my guides. There's a difference. I don't worship my guides. I serve them. There's a difference. Service is like saying, hey, here's flowers as a thank you for doing me that favor. I worship God as, this is the Almighty. This is God. He or she is the above everybody else. But I serve my guides as a thank you for, it's a symbiotic relationship. They get something, I get something in return. So, and they have a right to say no. Your guides have a right to say no. They can be like, if they don't like what you're doing, they have a right to say, you know what, you're on your own. It's like your best friend. You can tell your friend, hey, you're my ride or die. Let's go rob this house. And if your friend goes, no, I don't want to do that, your friend has a right to say, no, I don't want to do that. And if you don't listen to your friend, then that's on you, So your guides come, someone asked me this question before. What's the difference between guides and angels? And what's the difference between guides are, I say guides a lot, but there's actually a few differences. So angels are beings usually that were never incarnated, most of them, with the few exceptions. If you do really great work like Enoch, you get to become an archangel. So Enoch became Archangel Metatron. Yes, angels are assigned to you. And then if your angel is not very strong in that area that you may need, they may get help from another angel. They may collaborate with another angel that is a little stronger in what you need at that time. Yeah, you can put a living plant on the ancestor altar. It's actually beautiful. I had a friend who was a pagan, and in her beliefs, they don't like to use flowers because flowers die. But they like to use plants because it's a symbol of ever growth, and from what she explained to me, it's a symbol of growth and symbol of life everlasting. So you are welcome to put a plant on your altar as well. So you can always call upon your angels. One thing with angels, one thing with your guides is that they do not, because you have free will, this is something that I probably should have explained earlier. Because you have free will, they will not do things without you asking. Beings of darkness, they don't care. They will violate your free will, which is why they are the bad guys, I guess you can call them, because they violate your free will. They will do things without you asking for it, whereas your angels, you have to ask for it, because otherwise they're violating your free will, and that's it. That is one of their only rules. They have a lot of freedom, but they have a few rules that they are not allowed to break. From what they have explained to me, God has made sure that they are not allowed to break those rules. You can ask your angels or spirit guides to come to you in your dreams and give you their names. I will tell you, it takes a lot of meditation to be able to communicate with them in dreams or in awake state. Yes, some spirit guides have to leave. Once you have learned a certain lesson, certain spirit guides have to leave to allow room for another spirit guide that will help you, that can help you better. In your like, it's almost like replacing. Oh, here's a good analogy. I'm sorry. There are just things that people say that are comical, and okay. There's definitely different strengths to different guides. And sometimes messages can come in different ways. They can come in things that what I have noticed from guides is that based on the sign you were born in, this is maybe something for you, each and every one of you, to look into. Based on the sign that you are born in, there will be a different way that they will communicate to you. Most people are stronger when they work in their sign element. So based on the planetary arrangement that you are born in, they like to communicate through numbers. Yes, that's very true. But all language is based on mathematics. So, and planets. So if you are, let's say you are a Taurus and your ruling planet is Venus, and you are an earth sign. So your magic, your inner magic, will work best with earth. So most likely your guides will work best for you when you are working in the element of earth. Okay, the best way to begin a conversation with your guides is to do an ancestor altar. That's actually one of the points that I wanted to make earlier. Is your ancestors, utilize your ancestors. Your ancestors are closer to the earth. They are closer to the earth. They're the easiest ones to get started with because they are closer. They were incarnated. They understand your life. They understand what you're going through because they were humans once. So they are already, whereas the angels may not be very empathetic to what you're saying because they feel like, okay, you're just being childish. But not, angels will never say that. But what I'm saying is that you can start with your ancestors. But some ancestors are not good. So you always want to make sure that you say, I would like to call upon my ancestors that mean me well in love and light, because that when your intention has a lot to do. But if you just leave it open for anybody, then anybody can come through. Okay? I had an aunt that was not very nice. So I don't want to call her whenever I'm doing work. But I may want to call her for her expertise in doing certain rites, or how she used to do certain works. So you want to make sure that you're asking your ancestors that mean you well, that are there, that want to help your lineage progress, or help your lineage ascend. And because the ancestors were already incarnated, they tend to be, it's hot in here. Archangel Michael is like, whew, whenever he's around, I feel like there's a fire. They tend to be easier to get, and they will actually also speak on your behalf when you want something. They tend to speak on your behalf to your guides to kind of persuade them to give you what you want. So the angels and the archangels, or the loas, are easily persuaded. Not easily, but are more persuaded when your ancestors have something to say nice about you. So be nice to your ancestors, is what I'm saying. So, and your ancestors protect you as well, because at the end of the day, you shared a connection with them that is very infinite, in the sense that even though our souls change families, you do tend to find each other because of soul bonds. So that's another thing. I'm going to be doing another live this week once Michael is done explaining to me the whole soul bond thing, because there are different types of soul bonds. And someone had asked me that question. And there's different types of soul bonds, as in, what is a soulmate? What is a twin flame? Does it really exist? What is it? What is a soul contract? What is all those things? If you weren't close to your ancestors, you can become close in their passing, but it takes more work and it takes more dedication. I would try to at least honor them when you're doing your honoring of your angels. And I didn't know my great-great-grandmother. My great-grandmother is still alive, so I know her, but I didn't know her mom. But her mom, because I kept asking, ultimately her mom did come through, and she sometimes sits with me in the backyard and we talk and all those things. Your angels do have names. Your angels' names are different. They're very different. Your angels, usually their names do have something to do with of God. So any angel name, most angel names end with L, which means of God. But they have different beginnings. Some of your spirit guides may have human names. Some of them may have human names. Some of them are, it's very complex. It's hard to explain in one video. You can find out their names. They'll sometimes tell you in your dreams, or sometimes they'll come through. And if you get a medium that can understand names, or who gets names, they'll sometimes give you the name as well in a reading. So most of the time for names, usually it comes in your dreams. They give it to you through symbols if you ask them their name. I am a medium. For whenever any spirit would like to communicate through me, I am a medium. Spirits, as in talking about spirits as those of the dead, spirits who were once incarnated, the Loa, they have a right to speak with whoever they want to speak with. And if they don't want to speak with you, then they don't want to speak with you. But I have had instances where many of them have come through during the readings. Oops. I usually would say, oh, what is aloha? Aloha is a way, some people, it's a way that, it's an African word basically for a being like a saint. So usually instead of being called a saint, they would be called aloha in the, it's pretty much almost like Saint Martha, Saint Expedite, they're considered loas. I don't give my opinion on other mediums because different mediums work differently and they have different gifts, and I don't give my opinion on them because it's not my place to judge whatever their mission is. There are times when I don't do readings the way that she does readings. My readings are very unique to each person. So I don't do readings in the way that she does the readings, no. So it really depends. I haven't watched a lot of Long Island Medium. Someone asked about Long Island Medium. I haven't watched a lot of it. I think I saw maybe one episode or two. But I haven't watched a lot of it. I know of her, but I don't know her, so I can't judge her because I don't know her. I don't judge anyone. I try not to judge anyone, because we each have a different path that we're meant to walk. So I don't tend to judge people for their path. If you make a mistake in your path, you have to live with that mistake. That's your choice. I do channel spirits, yes. Yes, so St. Michael's Loa is Beliebelkan. So it's basically like the African version of, like I said before in the beginning, there are many beings that have different representations. They come through as different representations. So some of them were once living, some of them weren't. Some of them, for example, Michael, from what I have been told by him, he has not incarnated. So even though he hasn't incarnated, he is still considered a Loa. It usually, if you are usually attracted to a certain Loa, then they may be calling you to be a child of theirs, to serve them. What I have noticed, excuse me, when you start paying attention to one Loa and you start serving them, they do start becoming more attractive because they're seeing how serious you are. So because you are serious about serving them, if you start serving one Loa, another Loa might start showing up, and then another one might start showing up. They're beautiful beings to work with. Just because they're African beings, there's nothing to be afraid of. It is basically like, there's a lot of representations of Michael throughout the world, or of different, what I like to call it is one God, many faces. So God can have many faces. So don't be fooled by the rhetoric that God only works in one way. I don't believe that God can be limited. There's no way that God can be limited to a book. Okay? Yes, I have faith in the Bible, but this book, guys, you can't fit God in one little book like this. This is one of many sacred texts, and I will tell you, Michael is my main connection to the angels. I work with other angels, but he has been with me for a long time, so I do communicate with him a lot. But all I have to say is, as I wrap this up, is I would suggest, if you do want to get involved in the spiritual world, to learn as much as you can, observe as much as you can before you perform certain actions. Listen to your intuition, because that is your guide speaking to you. If you don't feel that your guides agree with what you're doing and you're not in a state of anger, then you are right. Don't act impulsively, because sometimes things that you do impulsively, you can end up paying back very severely. How someone just asked, how can you get spirits to leave you alone in your space? You just ask them to nicely. If it's, I recommend that you read as many of the sacred texts. I recommend that you do so with discretion. You are allowed to disagree with certain parts of these texts. At the end of the day, they were written by human beings, and human beings are flawed. You wouldn't say, I wouldn't say you can believe everything in Harry Potter. Let's just use that for example. I wouldn't say you can believe everything in Harry Potter, and that is how that I'm comparing this to some sacred texts. It may seem blasphemous, but if your discretion tells you that something is wrong, then it's most likely wrong. It's important to build a connection with your guides, yes. Prayer. Psalm 23 is very powerful in order for protection. So if you're trying to do protection, like I said, much of the Bible is in the New Testament is very much spell-like. So I will try to go, like I said, I will try to go live once a week. I went live last week. I went live today. I don't have a specific date. I will mention it on my Instagram. If you have youtube.com/priestessmay, if you have subscribed and you have hit the notification bell, when I go live, you will be notified. If I am able to answer those questions, I will answer them for you. I apologize if there are certain questions I cannot get to, or if my guides do not allow me to answer certain questions. So I can only say this: share love, keep an open mind, be cautious what you attach your energy to, and always leave the world better than you find it. So much love and many blessings to you from Archangel Michael and all the angels, and may your angels fill you with blessings. I will see you soon, and I will let you know when I'm going live. Make sure you turn on that notification bell, or you follow me on Instagram.com/priestess_May. I only have one page on Instagram. There were some people that were kind of trying to pretend they were me, but I only have one page, and it is and you will be able to kind of tell which one is really me. All right? Many blessings to you. Have a beautiful night.